Hello, folks. This week, I definitely have quite a few things to talk about, especially because it could involve somebody named the Dodgers, but that's for later. But first, let me talk about the Orange, both football and basketball. First, Babers deciding to hit the reset button, as he hired a new defensive coordinator and a new offensive coordinator, and I don't think it's going to be a co-offensive coordinator. Of course, how could you have a co-offensive coordinator? There's only one. Rocky Long of San Diego State retired as coach. He's 70. He led the Aztecs for the last 10 years. He was visiting up on the hill. There was thought that he was going to bring his defensive knowledge to the hill. Well, you know what? He was just making a pledge for his defensive coordinator. Because the Orange looks like they're going from the Tampa 2 to the 3-3-5. Because you all know how the Tampa 2 did for the Orange last year. Most of the time, sucked! That's all I have to say. Plus the 3-3-5 is just like Max Drive-In on a good night. Organized chaos. That's right. The 3-3-5 is organized chaos. Well, that's what the new hire by Dino Babers is. The 3-3-5 defense, and this dude from San Diego State is bringing it. And also on the offensive side, it's a little familiarity with Babers, as it's the guy who worked with him at Eastern Illinois and Bowling Green. If Babers is trying to hit the reset button on the Orange is the new fast, well, bring a little familiarity. But both potential good hires. But the one thing, can they recruit? Oh boy. That's all I have to say for that. But now let's talk about basketball. You know, we don't know whether these guys are going to be heroes or bums. First, another painful loss to Virginia Tech when they had the lead, and then against the Hokies on the Carrier Dome court, they just absolutely collapse. And I mean, people were starting to think, could this be the Orange's first losing season ever under Boeheim? And then they go down to Charlottesville and they beat the 18th ranked Cavaliers in overtime. Of course, that was helped by an almost impossible three-pointer by Boeheim. And I mean, even the announcer, hey, hit it! Interesting way to hit a three, buddy. But you know, this win could maybe be a launching pad. Could this be the honest for the Orange to finally kick it into gear and start winning? You know, that still definitely looks like the NIT is the thing this year, whether the purpose. Of course, there could be the CBI. Of course, who wants to aim for the CBI? I don't know. Of course, Pitt did it a few years ago and they won the CBI. Who knows? We'll see. And I'm going to go from talking about the Orange to the NFL Final Four. It's going to be an interesting Final Four for the ones to play in the Super Bowl. The AFC, two teams who haven't been to the big dance in quite some time. First, the surprising Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel, who looks to be a disciple of Bill Belichick, and also played on quite a few teams with Brady, leading the Titans, an unlikely sixth seed, into the AFC Championship. Of course, when you've got an all-world running back like Derrick Henry, plus Tannehill, the cast-off from the Dolphins, kind of sounds fishy, don't you think? It's pretty interesting to see how Tennessee started to put it together. First, knocking off Brady in what could be the last win for that dynasty, Brady and the Patriots, and also going into Baltimore, surprising the number 1 seed Ravens, 28-12. And now can they do another upset? Of course, they've got the Legion of Zoom. That's what they call the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, both teams haven't been to the dance in quite some time. 20 years for the Titans, 50 years for the Chiefs. And you know, they call it the Legion of Zoom. They called the Seattle Seahawks a few years ago the Legion of Boom. Makes me want to think of a 90s song. All I want to do is maybe zoom, 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 a baby boom, boom. Just shake your butt. All I want to do is maybe zoom, 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 and baby boom, boom. Just shake your butt. All right, let's go away from a decade where the music started to suck. Let's talk about the NFC title game. Two teams who haven't been there in a little while themselves. And it's a dream matchup. Green Bay and San Francisco. You know, Packers haven't been to the dance in about 9 years. The 49ers, about 7 or 8. Of course, who was leading the 49ers then? Colin, I'll kneel for the national anthem, Kaepernick. But you know what? He's gone. They got a Garoppolo, who originally was supposed to be the heir apparent for Brady. Makes you want to think. Plus also, Babers coached him when he was at Eastern Illinois. Shows you what type of quarterback he's turned out to be. He's championship caliber, maybe. Oh well, it's going to be an interesting Final Four. And talking about finals, how about the college football title last night? You know what? It was down almost on the Bayou, and it was a team from the Bayou that won the national title. Yes, Ed Orgeron, who is a Louisiana native himself, talks with a very raspy voice and has a little Cajun tinge to his voice, leading LSU in with Joe Burrows, who this season has had one of the most magical seasons, on his way to the Heisman Trophy, the probable number 1 pick, and also leading LSU, beating those Clemson Tigers. Any time one of SU's rivals goes down makes me happy. A good 42-24 win by LSU. And of course, I don't know whether I could do a good Ed Orgeron imitation. Oh, well, it's a real big thing. LSU wins. Yes, my team wins. And we're going to go in and we're going to do it again. Oh, well, I can't really get the raspy voice down, but who cares? I'm going to go from them to talking about somebody stealing signs. Yes, Houston. Apparently, 3 years ago when they went to win the World Series, apparently they had a somewhat sophisticated but somewhat simplistic way of stealing signs. Yes, Houston won the World Series 3 years ago, but they cheated. And of course, Alex Cora, who was part of that coaching for Houston 3 years ago, he becomes the manager of the Boston Red Sox. 2 years ago, they win the World Series. But you know what? It's tainted. And you know what? Eventually you're going to get caught. Apparently it involved a camera from the center field, plus also them hitting something. Yeah, it was a trash can. You know, when you see the catcher go like this, you know, and then you see someone go like this. Yeah, you know what that means? Yeah, you're a fool. Here, I got a couple signs for you. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing. Well, you know what? The manager and general manager have been fired. Sayonara, boys. And I think sayonara to Alex Cora. And last but not least, I got a couple nicknames for the Mynderse girls team. We got some good girls and good players on there. First, Sydney. We all live in a yellow Sandroni. Morgan. A little fishy if you're a trout. Oh, I kind of whiffed on that. Morgan Trout. Yeah, a little fishy, don't you think? Oh, I'm going to cast my line for these other two. Jocelyn Roboleg Mansell. And last, I'm going to turn John Randall. Sydney in the house! Regulators, Mount up. Regulators, end of show. And I'll see you next week. Sayonara, guys.